Tyler Head and Wes Mitchell, along with you. Time to talk some Gamecock softball with head coach Ashley Chastain Woodard, joining us as always on the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. Coach, we appreciate the time as always. How are we doing today?
Good morning. I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Doing well, doing well. Obviously an exciting matchup to talk about with LSU this weekend, but got to backtrack a couple days because it's been a big week for the Chastain Woodard household as your husband's team comes in, picks up a big win on Tuesday, unfortunately at the expense of South Carolina. They were showing you on TV during the broadcast. What was Tuesday like for you and the family?
Yeah, it was a great day for our house, obviously. Mixed emotions for me. I've told people many times this week I never want the Gamecocks to lose, but I also am never going to root against my husband, which I think everyone could understand.
Very fair.
But it was a great night for us. I don't really ever get to go over to Founders much because we share the same schedule most of the time, so it was really nice. I took the whole staff over there, and we got over there a little late since they moved the game up early. We practiced until 5, then got over there about middle of the game. My parents were able to be there. So, it was a good night. Obviously, never root against the Gamecocks, but also never root against my husband. So I was, kind of neutral through the game.
I don't think anyone's going to blame you for that one.
Yeah, yes.
Coach, it's Wes. Hope you're doing well. I always ask you to spotlight somebody. So today, let's go with Jamie McKay. I feel like it's somebody you were high on when she transferred in. A little bit of an easing in process for her, but she looks very comfortable at the plate right now. I think we're all starting to see some of that raw power you've talked about in the past starting to show. So what can you tell the fans out there about Jamie McKay?
Yeah, I was really proud of Jamie, really excited for her in the first 2 Boston games. And, I think Jamie, like you said, is a little bit of just hitting her stride, maybe a little bit of a late bloomer here middle of the year, but what a better time, honestly, for us to start seeing the power that we've always known that she's had. And I think she's kind of in the same footsteps of the team. I've kind of categorized the team a little bit as late bloomers here in the middle of the year. I think we're just now starting to really kind of come to our own and figure this out as a group. So I think what Jamie's doing is really just a byproduct of really where the team's at and the conversations and the energy that we have in the building. And then also, Jamie and I met a couple weeks ago after the first few weeks of season, and I just really challenged her to start working more and just getting in the cage and swinging more and just really pouring herself into her swing. This is her last season, and she only gets 1 with us. So it was just pure joy to see all that work that she's been putting in really come to fruition in those 2 at-bats. And, she ended both game 1 and game 2 for us. So it was really exciting.
Yeah, there is some effortless power in that bat, too. So hopefully she can keep making contact like that. Coach, every time you do one of those little SEC Network in-game interviews, you talk about your team's CPAs, your competitive plate appearances. I know you would love for every at-bat to hit one of those standards to where it's a CPA, but is there like a goal? I know y'all track everything. Is there kind of a goal percentage where it's like, okay, if we do this 60% of the time, 70%, like what is the kind of threshold you're looking to hit in a given game or season for tracking that, and how close do you feel like you guys are to kind of being there right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. We try to be 65% as a team every time we play. So, and actually, Ella Chansey, if you guys remember Ella Chansey from last year, who stayed on as a graduate manager for us, she's in charge of tracking those in the dugout during the game.
It's a big job, Coach.
It is a big job, but I have a lot of trust in Ella. I think she can handle it. So she's got our chart in the dugout, and she's the one tracking those. We track hard hit balls and CPAs as the game goes on, and trying to be 65% on CPAs. And there is just a direct correlation. Almost every game that we're 65% or higher on CPAs, we win. And every game that we are below that mark, it's a little bit harder. Some of those we squeak out, and a lot of those we lose. So we like just to make that direct correlation in the team. And we evaluate it as soon as the game's over in the locker room post-game of where we're at with our CPAs. Ella gives us the evaluation, and, there's been a lot of celebrating the past 5 games with as many CPAs as we were having. Last night against Georgia Southern, we had 13 in a row, which I think is a record for us.
Again, talking to Ashley Chastain Woodard here on the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. Let's go back to the series this past weekend against Boston College. A couple run rule victories early on in the weekend, but you guys faced some adversity in game number 3, down to your last strike, found a way to pull out the 2-1 victory. Obviously, you'd love to just beat every team by 10 runs. Doesn't happen that way. What are moments, especially as you get into the season as deep as we are now, of having to find different ways to win? How valuable is that going forward for your team?
Yeah, it's really valuable. And funny enough, Katie Browder and I talked post-game about how painful the game was while it was happening. During the middle, we were just hitting the ball really hard, and we had a lot of people on. We just weren't able to get them across, and we were trailing, from midway on until the bottom of the 7th. But we talked about how good that was for us, and we haven't been able to really win when we're behind a lot this season, and especially when it was really close, and just really execute the bottom of the 7th and almost have that cardiac Cox feel like a lot that we like, and especially how last year's team had that early in the year. So we talked about bottling that up as a team, that feeling, and just being execute the bottom of the 7th and really holding on to that as the rest of the year goes on. So I thought it was a perfect way for us to win. It came at the right time, and we're definitely going to need that in the rest of our series in the league.
And two of your newcomers that came through there with Tori and Tate back-to-back, great at-bats for them, Coach. I'm sure great moments for them, too, being able to do that. For the first time for the two of them in the Garnet and Black. Obviously, we get back into SEC play this weekend. That's a different animal than, maybe some of the teams the last 5 games. But I got to think you guys probably feel like there was a lot of clean ball these last 5 games. I know you talk about the holistic standpoint of things a lot of times. Do you just feel pretty good about overall how things are moving momentum-wise as you get back into SEC play this weekend?
Yeah, I do feel really good about it, and I do think we have a lot of winning momentum on our side right now. And yes, the competition hasn't been quite the same as that we face in the SEC every weekend, but sometimes winning is winning, and we call that vitamin dub. Sometimes you need that, and we've had that the last 5 games, and so I think it's been really valuable for us, and we have a lot of belief and confidence right now, and sometimes you can't buy that. Just that feeling that you can win and that you're unstoppable. So I definitely think that's the stride that we're hitting. And I think this weekend is a really evenly matched series against us and LSU. They've had one more series than we've had. They played Tennessee early and A&M this past weekend. So they're 3 games deeper in the league than we are because we had our bye weekend early. But I think it's a really evenly matched series. I love the fact that we're at home, and yeah, I think that we have a lot of fire and momentum on our side right now, so I'm really excited about this one.
Well, you mentioned being at home because your next 2 series, you're going to be on the road in Mississippi State and Tennessee in the next couple weeks. So obviously every series is important, certainly to try and come away with the win, but winning on the roads in the SEC is extra tough. So being able to get a couple victories before you head on the road for a few weeks, vitally important this weekend as well.
Yeah, it's really important. And if you look at our schedule closely, it's going to be a grind for us when we leave for Mississippi State because we have the Monday night series for Mic'd Up Monday in Starkville, and then we have the Easter series against Tennessee in Knoxville. So we literally have 2 series, 6 games in a matter of 1 week on the road in the league. So it's going to be a tough week for us, and I agree. I think that's why this one is really pivotal for us to get some wins and kind of start making our mark in the league.
Coach, I hesitate to even bring this up, but I feel like it's worth asking. With Ari Rhodey, what kind of has you guys' messaging been to her right now? I know she's someone that goes out there, plays the game the right way, plays the game with a smile. Seems like she's always about the right stuff. And I know the hits just have not been coming for her as of late at the same rate maybe we're used to seeing from her. So what kind of just is the messaging to her in terms of just kind of breaking through? And I know it seems like some of this has been a little bit of bad luck. It seems like she had a stretch where hard hit ball right at somebody, another hard hit ball right at somebody. So what have you guys done to just kind of, keep her in the right headspace, I guess?
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought it up. And I've been meeting with Ari in my office. We've been having a lot of conversations over the last few weeks of just trying to keep her in a good space because, you guys know hitting is really hard. And sometimes when you're the signature hitter in the lineup and you have the history of the power and kind of being the face, there's a lot of pressure that comes along with that. So we've been trying to mentally keep her in a really good space. She's been meeting with our mental performance coach and just trying to stay really positive. And you're right, she has squared up a lot of balls that just really haven't gotten out. I mean, she flew out to the warning track in the bottom of the seventh against Boston College. I mean, she couldn't have hit the ball better. So there is a lot of good still in there. We're trying to keep her in a good spot. As far as our swing goes, her and Katie have been spending a lot of time one-on-one, before practice, after practice, in the mornings of game days, in the cage, because we do feel like there might be a few things that are off with her swing. We have so much history with her and we know her so well. Just going back and watching some film, we're really just trying to get the swing back into a really good space so that she can cover all parts of the plate and she's not getting jammed on the inside like she's been the last couple weeks. So I do think there's a little bit of a swing issue there, and I promise, she's working really, really hard on it with Katie, and, I have full faith that they'll both figure it out here soon.
Last minute for you here, Coach. It is the opening day of the NCAA tournament. Have you filled out a bracket, and if so, who is your champion?
Well, to be very honest, I haven't filled out a bracket. I'm sorry to admit that. But I'm definitely rooting for the Gamecocks for sure. That's
a fair answer. You got a few things going on right now. That's very understandable. But, Coach, we appreciate the time as always, and best of luck this weekend against LSU.
Thank you guys so much.